Friends of the Corn Corner, come on around. It's time for a new episode. I'm Wren.
And I'm Cam, and for today's fun fact, I Googled a list of the weirdest fetishes, and instead of a really odd one like arousal to the elderly, well, that was actually weird of me to say,
weird.
But that is kind of weird, because you don't imagine elderly people don't have it for other elderly people. It's not that.
It's never that.
Anyway, I found a really cool one that's called stygiophilia, which is arousal to the thought of hellfire and damnation, which is fucking metal and sick as hell, honestly. I have that. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about this. We have a medical doctor that's going to come in and help diagnose co-host Cam and fix him and his issues, his head. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
Can't wait.
Now, you were describing something called cyclophilia.
Yep.
And you said that you enjoyed this kind of thing about a hell and a damnation, these kinds of things, and you get off in a very fetish way to this.
Yeah. So I think first things first is we need to establish the difference between a kink and a fetish.
Yes.
For those who don't know. Kink is just something you like. You don't need it all the time when you're doing things. It's whatever. You enjoy it, you don't need it. A fetish is something that you actually require to achieve finality.
Got it.
Or whatever, to achieve sexual gratification. Yeah. So, like, a lot of people will say they have a something fetish, but they don't mean it because, like, you don't actually need to be looking at thong sandals to get off.
Yeah.
But that's just a kink. Like, you're just into feet, like a normal dude on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And we love you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Actually.
Thank you for liking my calluses.
Yes.
Also. Anyway.
We should get into talking about feet. I can wait though.
No, we can start right now with feet.
Now, feet are a thing that
just a statement. Feet are a thing.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for feet are a thing that are at the bottom of your body.
Yep.
And help us stay upright. You'd be shocked that all those toes really play a part in keeping you balanced.
Yeah, it's a whole system.
There are people that enjoy feet, and they usually get the brunt of a lot of jokes in pop culture.
Yeah.
And I never really understood it. And I would not say I'm a feet person by any means, but I do get it in the aspect of I would never want someone's dirty feet in my face, how you would.
Yeah.
But I do think it's neat when there's someone who's really beautiful and their feet, it's kind of like...
And their feet, period.
It kind of like adds like a degree of...
What about their feet?
Worship,
what do you mean?
Though, there. Like, I can see how that's enticing.
Yeah.
It adds a degree of worship to the person.
Yeah.
Of even liking their feet and their beautiful. And also, I think the idea of that foot not being callous shows that they don't have to go out and do the Carhartt things.
Yeah.
Like some people do. There's a whole thing with it.
It's so funny because, like, I am into feet, but I'm not into feet the way that people, like, pop culture makes people think people are into feet. Yeah. I'm not like watching women walk around in espadrilles or like whatever.
I don't think people really. I don't know, but I don't think people do that because I used to make a joke growing up and being like, okay. I used to make a joke growing up and say, wow, foot fetish would be so easy because people wear sandals. It'd be so easy to see.
I've literally talked to a man in real life before OnlyFans times. So this is like, unfiltered. Who it was a photographer when I was on a like shoot. I was being paid by this man, and this is a conversation I found myself in, and that's when I knew I was in trouble. Anyway, he was like, he was talking about a foot fetish thing, and I was curious then, just being like, what about it? And whatever, he talked about it, but it got to the point in the conversation where he said he loves summer because there was free porn everywhere, and I was like, I died inside for a moment.
It makes you think differently about wearing sandals.
That makes it non-consensual and awful. Like, and you're just like walking around, whatever, looking at women's feet at the mall. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
It objectifies people in a way I don't like.
Yeah.
But I guess if you're keeping it to yourself, whatever.
It's also something that women don't do
for that.
Yeah, exactly. You can argue that there are some things, modes of expression that happen because that gaze is fun to play with.
Yeah.
But sandals are never that, ever.
It's just, you're just walking around in sandals.
It is funny because we also talked a while ago about butt plugs. Do you remember when we talked about that? And we were talking about the jewel plug, and you were like, I don't hate that thing. But I said, I think it's cute because it's kind of a topic of femininity.
Yeah.
It's so dainty, and that's cute. And I think that is in line with why I think that feet, like I understand
that aspect of it. Yeah, mine's from a totally different point
Yours
of
is
view.
easy for people to get, though.
Yeah. Well, I think so. It takes very little explanation just to be like, it's a degradation thing, not a feet thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The feet are just a tool being used in degradation.
Yeah.
And that's what I am. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm envious of women's feet that are very like, they can point it really well, and it does that like,
me too,
that stereotypical shape. But I'm not like, that's hot. I'm just like, wow, that's really beautiful. Like that's cool. And my feet don't do that. But like, that's like really nice, whatever. Yeah. But then with like, and my interest in terms of kink fetish, whatever, with feet is like, so are those socks smelly? Like what's going on? Like that kind of thing.
It's just so funny because the way I would look at a sock is I would be like, the idea of having a really clean sock.
Yeah.
Is
because it shows you don't have to dirty your socks.
Yeah, that's like very hot to me.
Yeah. Where I'm like,
having dirty gym sock and go fuck that.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, we'll do that. Wear it all day to work and then come and put it in my mouth. That kind of thing. Yeah.
And you'll have that for dinner.
Yeah. Yep. Very fibrous, that's what I value.
A fetish that I don't necessarily understand at all. It's hard for me to understand as someone that interacts with all kinds of people.
What do you mean? Like foot?
I'm about to say it.
Oh,
I'm about to say it.
Yes.
But as someone, I'm prefacing with giving my qualifications. Yeah. As someone that understands.
Yeah.
Is balloons.
Oh, okay. I get it.
I do not get it.
Have you looked at balloon fetish content or engaged in any of it yourself?
Not really.
Okay. I didn't get it really until I made a video as such. And then I was like, oh, like, but not, I wasn't like, well, now I gotta do this. I was just like, oh, okay. And for me, I understood it, one specific aspect of it, which was the anticipation of popping. And then the like when it popped. That's when I was like, oh, that's fun. I don't understand.
Because you didn't know.
Yes.
In the video. Yeah. When it was going to pop. And once it happened, you were shocked.
Yes. And that was like a fun like thrill to be like, oh. And so someone watching the video that I didn't know was going to pop when I was recording the video. And then someone watching likewise wouldn't know when.
It kind of is the epitome of real.
Yeah.
Because that's something I struggle with often is the realness.
Well, most things are role play no matter what at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. But that is very, very, very real.
Yeah. I don't understand the stretching the balloon,
I don't get that.
The long neck, the different shapes, whatever. Sitting on a balloon, fun. And then like, how long can I sit and bounce on it until it pops? Gasp. That's cool. Like I get it there.
Yeah.
But then there's
got to be some other stuff there.
Yeah, they are into all kinds of lunars, as they're called, are into all kinds of stuff like that goes into balloons and stuff. Different shapes, different ways to blow it up, whatever.
You mentioned something that you didn't get until you did it.
Yeah.
Are there anything else? Are there other things like that?
I kind of feel like most things are, or like I'd think that I wouldn't be into it and then do, and then like, I mean, talking about feet and stuff, I probably with Mike didn't do any like dirty socks feet thing or whatever. But like the first time Mike and I met, we like both flew to somewhere and met there at a hotel and then like spent the weekend together. But he like wore socks during the whole travel day and then like shoved them in my face there. And that was the first time anyone did that to me. And I was like, oh, okay.
I get it.
And then the problem is that like everyone thinks their feet or socks are really smelly, but they're like not.
Yeah.
So people would be like, oh, like put your face in the shoe is so gross. And I'm like, it's fine. Like, yeah. And it never is like that bad or whatever. But that's a surprising thing to me, that I actually like want things to like body odor and stuff to be strong.
Yeah.
And that some people would be like, whoa. But I'm like, nah, it's cool.
Because that's because you goofed up in the head.
I try. Who knew I'd be into licking armpits, you know?
I actually found that with like socks, where I made a sock like worship video, and I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I get how this is hot now.
Yeah.
I understand it. I'm trying to think. There's something else in my head that I did, and I was like, oh, I completely understand this now. And I can't remember what it is. I'm trying to think.
I'm so curious.
But
you do very specific,
yeah,
like selection of things as a top.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to divulge things without you saying it first. So
it's good.
I have one that's like controversial that I do want to talk about. Kind of. Well, I don't want to put you on the spot, but like forced bi.
Okay. I mean, we can talk about it. I do have my moral compass with it. Is I'm conflicted because the idea. Okay. The only people that are into it are dudes.
Yes.
Because the idea of
it's
a
like
femme person,
dudes.
Yes, the idea of a femme person interacting with bisexuality or whatever isn't taboo. So it's only dudes, and it's only dudes that are generally super not open about supporting the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah,
that is why it is erotic.
Yeah,
and I had that issue with any marginalized group.
Yeah,
that is taken and co-opted for a fetish.
Yeah. And it's why we don't engage in like race play, things like that. Because, well, one, what the fuck? But also because,
it's always men co-opting something that is not theirs, and they're benefiting off of it.
Yeah. Like literally getting off to it. Yeah.
Especially in race play. They're benefiting off of something, and the only reason why it works is because subconsciously you're racist.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you're not even taking that race into the transaction.
Yeah.
You're bringing it in with other white people to do the fetish with.
Yes. And it's also, that's why I even hate the labeling of it. Like there'd be creators who label stuff with BBC, which I even hate saying out loud.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what it means, I'm not going to fucking say it. Whatever, you can look it up. But I like refuse to like acknowledge that terminology, because why would I? But when other people do, it shows, and they're like, well, it's not race play. I'm like, it is. It is.
It's
it
the
literally
epitome
is.
Of that.
Yeah.
It's the literal epitome of that. And so that's the entire topic.
Yeah.
That
we're not going to.
Very, very difficult to talk about, because the other thing that sucks is that it sells.
Yeah.
And people are dehumanized in every aspect of this job. So having to use different terminologies and things like that, for what people search, there's a whole discussion going in there.
Yeah.
But you brought up forced bi, and I do use the terminology forced bi with people because
much to consider.
There's a lot to consider. It's a really hard thing to talk about.
We also don't have to go into it.
No, I think it's important to talk about.
Yeah.
But because bi people are oppressed.
Yeah.
But that oppression doesn't come out as being bisexual. You're oppressed as either being gay.
Yes.
That's what you're seen as.
Yeah.
So taking something, co-opting bisexuality is, there's ways to do it where it's not taking down and hurting a group of people.
And how do you, like, I don't know if that's even that easy to say, like, example. Like,
it's pretty hard to say examples. It's kind of like just a way you go about doing it. But it's like, here's a really good example. If someone comes in and they're begging me to call them the F slur over and over, I generally will not do that.
Yes.
Because it shows that they don't actually respect that word.
Yeah. Or fundamentally understand like what
the
it means.
Gravity of it.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of ways to push somebody into doing something that they are uncomfortable with and play with that uncomfortability and shame.
Without sacrificing an entire marginalized group.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that there are tactful ways to do that within bi groups.
Yeah.
Versus there's other groups that there's no way to do that tactfully.
Yeah.
So like someone comes in, begs for slurs.
Yeah.
Absolutely not going to happen. And I'm usually going to educate that person. And 100% of the time, it works great.
Yeah.
And they just never considered those things. And there's still ways that you can play with making somebody uncomfortable and doing something that they're truly scared of doing.
Yeah.
Which is interacting with someone of the same gender as them.
Which is insane to say out loud.
Well, I think that
it's not though, because it depends on where it's like, because a lot of people have repressed shame
because cis men don't have opportunities to explore anything but being cis men.
Yeah.
And we value cis men that are stereotypically masculine. There's no gradient of that in the world. Whereas that fetish is boring for anybody that's not a cis man because it's normal.
Yeah.
So actually, I do think that there are ways to have fun with that and point out like, oh my God, this is crazy, right?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff and point those things out. Another thing I really like, very consensually, is gaslighting.
Yes.
And manipulation.
That's your Dom style.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I will usually bring in elements of saying consensually, people. Consensually.
Negotiated and consented to.
But saying things like, you want to do this for me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is so hot. I mean, it's so hot if you would just do this thing. Like those kinds of things and push somebody to do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And yeah, it is hot. It is cool. So I guess it's not gaslighting, but it is kind of pushing them to
But it's
to
saying
do
things
it.
in a way that it's not, you're saying like, you want to do this for me, right? Not
Yeah.
you're okay to do this, right?
It's
like,
kind of taking every poor negotiation tactic and doing it.
But also with that said, it is like a negotiated thing.
Yeah.
But it's like CNC, which is consensual non-consent. It's that where you're consenting to whatever stuff. But I think a lot of people online think that CNC means that like your negotiation is saying you can do whatever.
Yeah.
But that is not fucking it.
And I also want to say that if there's a forced by aspect of something, the end result is known.
Yes.
We know what the end result is.
They say what they want.
And there's no version of that where that person is going to leave like
being like, what the hell happened?
Yeah. So it's like
they write the story.
Yeah, like
you just narrate
you fill in the blanks. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like so there's you can play within those bounds.
Yeah.
So it's not like anything's gonna happen outside of, I don't really want to say the things that could happen here because
you can get the idea.
But there are little
MLM,
ways where
I don't mean multi-level marketing. Anyway, sorry.
you can push them and prod and poke and make fun of, obviously, to what that person would want.
Yeah.
And things while those things are happening and play with those things. But actually, I don't love the terminology CNC. I think that there's better terminology because, like you said, I would say 90% of people, and I call it Tumblr CNC.
Sorry.
Yeah. Right? Because that's what it is.
What do you mean, the bad one that we're defining? Tumblr
what,
CNC.
90,
like
90%
a Tumblr
of
Dom
people
is doing Tumblr CNC.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
A Tumblr girly wants CNC. The idea being locked up and this and that and all
and
this
like
kind of stuff.
no limits, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
And it's like, no, that's not how this fucking works.
Yeah.
But that trickles. And I think that a lot of times CNC, I would say the majority of the time, is not done in a consensual way.
What is a better?
I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, if there were better terminology, I don't know, but
I don't know, but it's something I personally, like in my personal life, would never engage with because I don't think that it can be done in a really good way. I just don't.
It's also, I mean, I do, but the people that I have engaged in it with or like do currently, the negotiation isn't one conversation. We've been together for months.
Yeah.
We've been talking about these things like concurrently, whatever. We like, me really well. You know about my limits. There's still check-ins with CNC, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not just like a no holds barred scene or like whatever. They still will stop and be like, how you doing?
Yeah.
Those kind of things. It's just it's defined by the two people involved in it. There's no rule book for it, whatever.
Let me say this with it. I think that when I'm saying these things, I'm also putting like a total power exchange dynamic in there too. And or a 24/7 dynamic in there too. And I think when the world gets wrapped up with like 24/7 total power dynamic, CNC, then it's a cocktail of nothing's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think that CNC can work where it is, we're going to have some version of a play session, huge air quotes. And in this time, we're going to have a CNC situation where you're going to have fun and do whatever you want. But then I also need to go and do real life and be a human being.
Yeah, like this ends, whatever. Yes. And then we're people.
I think I should have phrased that better and said, that is how I actually feel that. I think within sessions, CNC's fine.
But cool. I think that goes for all engaging with kink and fetish stuff.
Yeah.
You shouldn't, there's no like practical world in which you can constantly engage in kink or fetish anything and be functional.
I feel like a lot of people want that.
But it's just not, as someone, I've talked about it on here before, but as someone who lived that, it's bad and it's just not possible. Like you have to go be a fucking person eventually.
Yes.
And you can't be attached to this other person in whatever way constantly. I know a lot of people wear like collars all the time. I had one literally like permanently on my arm basically for years, but it like got in the way of shit. Like you have to be able to like take that thing off.
Yeah.
It just isn't really possible. I think that's a Tumblr idea again.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I like when probably the second most mentioned person on this podcast, Leaf and Icky.
Yeah, it's true actually.
I know. Whenever they do rope, they have rope collars.
Yes.
And I think that's really cool because it's contained.
Yeah. Those two seem really good at,
I would agree.
Because they're both, I don't want to speak about their relationship, but they're public about, they're both switchy.
They're both switchy.
And they switch with each other in a way that seems really like good.
Yeah, it seemed they
uncommon.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
I think they're a great litmus test for good, healthy, poly, kinky dynamics.
Yeah.
And they're also in a very intense rope relationship that is also educational. And they grow together as teachers and things.
And full of respect from what I've seen, which is lacking in a lot of rope relationships.
It really is.
Sadly.
But I think it's also important to say that they're both queer.
Yeah.
Trans people.
Yeah.
So
it's good. It's good that lines up there.
Yeah. For our sponsor section, we want to shout out a group called the Devil's Mask Society, and they take people from beginning rope to full suspensions. And people ask us all the fucking time, how do we get in a rope? And I think that the Devil's Mask Society is the place to do it.
They are, well, if you're in LA.
Well, I think you can do online.
Oh, really?
I really
Sick.
do.
Okay.
I think that there are online versions, but they're like cells that you go through, which are classes.
Yeah.
I don't remember how long it takes. I think it was like a year.
But that is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was saying, I think it's a year so strangely because I don't know if that's right or not.
Yeah.
Not because I think it's too short. I think it's great.
Yeah.
But they have bottoming cells. They have topping cells. It's incredible. So if you're interested in rope bondage, you want to get into it, Devil's Mask Society is amazing. Also, I host a podcast for Shibari Study.
Yeah. I was going to say, well, we talk about Shibari Study
that
all the time on here and say that they're also a good way.
Go listen to that podcast.
Yeah.
I don't care if you do rope or not. Listen to it. So Shibari Study understands that this was a good investment for them.
And that's what this is really about.
Yes. But that's also a podcast. And I try to focus on, well, the person I focus on is, I think about new rope bottom entering.
Yeah.
And I want that person to have means. I want that person to have resources to hear about stuff.
Yeah. Because so much rope education is focused around the top only.
Yeah.
And that sucks a lot.
I never ask people what TKs they use. I never ask people what their favorite tie is. I never ask what kind of rope they use. I never ask any of that shit. I only ask,
how many times have you given someone a wrist job? Sorry.
That's surprisingly many. So we're talking about fetishes.
Yeah. I actually talking about rope bondage goes into, I have thought many times about what if I were to say I have a fetish, what it would be. And I think my only answer is control, and not as a top, like as a bottom, having a control fetish. So control placed upon me. And it's kind of an umbrella thing for like bondage, restrictions, theoretical or physical. If you think about like everything I am into, most of them have to deal with control. and just being into DS or power dynamic stuff is control too. So in that way, I think by the true definition of a fetish, the only one that I have is that. So as long as like I do need some form of control to be present too.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you're trying to get at. Oh God, I just had a question. It went right out of my phone. Oh, you mentioned a couple times where you wish that you could be fed the slop every day.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Not even like, I mean, it's both in a kinky way and also just in life. Like I wish there were no options for food. If I were to like have a weekend with the one partner that I engage with this stuff with really, and he was like, you know, we're going to get food. This is what you're eating every single meal.
Amazing.
I'd be like, awesome.
Yeah.
Like, and it could be just like tasteless oatmeal, like in the Matrix is what I always talk about. And
I love that.
And I'd be like, fuck yeah, that's great. I love that.
I love that because it's a lot of like a science experiment where it would be hard for you to eat tasteless oatmeal slop in the beginning, but you'll get used to it and you got to get used to it.
It wouldn't be hard for me. I'd love to do it. You know, was the only thing so like in terms of control and food stuff. So the same person, one of like the first times we played, had me eat like fucking chicken or like tofu tikka masala or something. Yeah. I forget. It was some tofu Indian food, but off a plate, and I couldn't use utensils or my hands. So I was just doing it with my like face, and I couldn't see.
Amazing.
Because I was wearing like blind contacts, and that was really hard for me, not because of getting dirty, but because I didn't want to look stupid.
I love it.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna get stuff all over my face and I'm gonna look ugly. Like
he was like, yeah,
he was. He was like, yeah, idiot. Like,
yeah.
And that's the only time that like a food thing has been like, I don't know, for me in that specific sense.
It's funny when we think about when we were talking about the bottom sauce paintball thing. My big thing I want is I like when someone has choice, but it's not great options.
Yes.
That's always fun to me.
Yeah.
And I also think that the period of having to get used to the circumstances is also fun. So like giving appropriate gear and then taking it away, that's fun to me. Having something and taking it away is fun. So it's like if you were okay with the slop, I'd be like, oh, let's make the slop really good, then let's make it worse and worse.
Yeah. But see, I'm not the optimal bottom for those things because I just be like, yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because I'm so like, if I'm doing those things for the person, it means that I'm like, because I don't do DS or even kink play willy-nilly anymore.
Yeah.
I don't shoot kink stuff with like, I don't do like whatever random production kink shoot things. It'll be like with a partner, and especially with DS off camera stuff, that is like really fucking sacred. Like, yeah. So there's like very specific things that I'm engaging with a very specific person, whatever. But if they did that, I'd just be like, yeah, I'm in.
Why do you think you became so selective?
Because I spent so long not being, and it had a lot of trial and error.
What do you think you weren't selective in the beginning?
It's like, what do we call it in rope? The like
frenzy.
Yeah, sub frenzy. So like there's in the rope community, there's always not always. There is often a pattern seen when a new bottom comes into the scene where they'll tie with anyone possible. And I'm not saying that is like a shameful thing. It is a perfectly normal thing. And I did it. I think you had kind of a different experience coming into rope where you didn't necessarily do that kind of situation.
No, I definitely I have messages I look back on and I cringe.
Oh yeah. No, I was cold calling people to tie me.
Yeah.
Like that I didn't know, which now I'm like, what the fuck?
I know.
Like, but you're so excited about having these new opportunities that you want to collect as many as possible and spend as much time in that place as possible and have as many of the things on your checklist. I want to do like all these things and try everything from the buffet, whatever. And I definitely did that for years.
Yeah.
Like a hot minute. And then it got to the point where that was dangerous.
Yeah.
It was like scary. It was too much energy because I'm in my fucking 30s.
Yeah.
And I have just gone further into my demisexual whatever place that I only want to engage in such intimate things with people that I like truly want in my life
Yeah.
long term. Boom. Got you silent.
No, I had a thought. My thoughts keep going, just like evaporating out of my fucking brain.
I have other things that I can talk about.
Damn, I had to know how to follow up with something you just said.
Oh.
This whole episode, my thoughts have just been leaving.
Ever since I made you talk about force buy.
I guess so.
Yeah,
That'll
I'll get
really
you.
do it. It's,
Yeah.
it's hard because it's one of my faves.
I was going to talk about edging.
Oh, I remember what I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about how. Well, we should talk about edging. That
Do
actually
your
is better.
first. Do your first, and then we'll go.
I was going to talk about how I, as a bottom, really enjoy pain, but I only enjoy certain flavors of pain.
Yeah.
There's some flavors of pain that I cannot stand.
Yeah.
But there's some things that I really, really, really like, and I want to be put in uncomfortable situations, and that's really hard for me.
What do you mean? Why is it hard for you?
I don't know. I think that I'll probably figure that out over the next couple of years or something. I feel like there's something in there, but there's like little sharp pains. Fuck, I can't do.
Yeah.
There's also like a hair pull I can't do.
Yeah.
There's some things I just cannot handle.
Yeah.
But I like pain and being uncomfortable. I think I like being uncomfortable and sweating and getting that like
Long, slow burn pain.
Yeah.
More than, that's why you like rope.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you, with pain stuff, because I also like talking about that, do you, so me liking pain, one, I am a masochist, and so I'm super into it in general, but also I like it as an act for the sadist. So like me, like suffering for them, accepting pain that they're giving me, and just taking whatever is like an act of devotion for
Yeah.
me to the sadist, which is another reason I'm so selective about it, because you don't just get that shit.
Yeah.
You gotta earn it. Anyway, so what is it? What's your...
Yeah, I need to just hear once
Oh yeah, words
you're
of
doing
affirmation.
it.
Yeah,
I just need an affirmation. I need one word of affirmation and I'm good.
I just need the person to like laugh at me or be smiling, and I'm good.
Yeah. And that's it. I struggle with the devotion aspect.
Yeah.
Because I'm not in any kind of dynamic with anyone like that. So it needs to be more. I do like that. When I had that, I loved that a while ago. That was amazing.
Not to bring up Kiss Me Deadly Doll, but wouldn't you say when you're tying with Doll that you feel like you are like you want to do good for her?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah.
I feel like
You want to take it well for her.
immense pressure to.
In a good way.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
in a great way. I know that she would never make me feel bad if
No.
I was like, I'm done.
Jesus.
But I feel pressure to do it, to like, I want to experience everything, you know, and also there's always people in the room. Like I want to be strong for the people in the room. It's like, I want to like, that does play a role in it. And I think I have a healthy, interaction with that.
Do you like doing stuff when there aren't people in the room?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I think some people don't. Like some people need the audience.
I used to be like that, but now I don't care at all.
Yeah.
Because now I only tie with people I really want to tie with.
Yeah. Now I'm like, I prefer that there is not an audience. In
Yeah.
fact. Like I would never do stuff with the dude.
Yeah.
I would not like people around.
Yeah.
Like the whole point of that is that I can be like just me.
Yeah.
And like not have to be like performing whatever, which I'm not if there's just friends watching.
I think another thing is I don't like blood. I don't
Yeah.
like bruises really. So
Like marks don't do
I don't
anything
care.
for you. Yeah.
No. I like it when it's like a couple Folsoms ago when she ripped that waist rope out and I had a huge burn. That was awesome. I loved that one.
Weird. Why
But-
that? I wonder.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But if I have remember when she bit me?
The heel mark?
Oh,
or was
God.
it? I don't even know what we didn't, because remember there was the whole dispute if it was a bite
Yeah.
mark or not. It had to have been.
It was a huge
But it was a
bruise.
crazy bruise. It looked like you got hit with like a golf ball or something that like just like expanded to 8 inches big or something.
But
by the
that
end
one
of it.
doesn't give me the same feelings that
Yeah.
this does.
Yeah.
Also, I was going to say earlier, one of the reasons why I think I frantically messaged everybody in the scene when I got in the scene was I didn't realize how deep the scene was.
Yeah.
How much I didn't realize how many people had been in the scene for a long time and all the different subsets and stuff. If I would have known that, I would have been like a little more
reserved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like marks also. Everyone knows that though.
Yeah, you do.
I also like blood.
You do.
Because
like
blood
those
is romantic.
things. It is.
Yeah.
I don't like fluids.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't. We're complete
all.
opposites of that because I'm like, yeah.
0% like fluids.
I love them all.
Spit is my least favorite one.
It's so funny to
I
me.
don't know why.
Well,
But
because
it's just,
I mean, it's gross.
it's so gross.
But that's like, so this is where I'm not a good bottom. I'm not what people classically think of when they think of like degradation fetish stuff or kink stuff, whatever. Because like people who do that are like, I'm gonna piss on you. Ew, you're so gross.
Yeah, you're into it.
Yeah, because I'll be like, hee, I know. Like
That is pretty surprising me because I wouldn't know what to do because you're like how are you into degradation? But then you're also like, please spit on me, please do these things, and you're like laughing. It was like, remember when we were in fucking New York the whole time you're like
cracking
giggling.
up. Yeah.
I mean that was different because it was
but
a different energy. But
I
just get so happy about stuff.
I think you just have to find people that link up that get it, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And the person I do that with right now does. And so like if peace stuff is happening and I'm laughing, then like he is too.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you're so gross and pathetic. And I'm like, I know. And like,
I love it.
and like for you, yeah. Anyway, edging.
Tell me about that stuff.
I don't know when this is coming out in terms of date. Maybe I'll have.
Yeah. You do No Nut November.
Forever. I've done a No Nut November since January or July. Sorry, July.
Damn.
July of 2023, because this is probably going to come out. No, maybe. I don't know when this is coming out.
And
but
you
July
get
of
in there and
2023.
you'll mash that PP and
Don't ever call it that.
how many times? How many times a day are you getting in there?
Not daily anymore.
And
I don't have
smashing.
Barf. I used to be, when I had alone time daily,
Yeah.
I would do I'd be like doing edge sessions every day. And to be clear, again, have no nut since July 2023.
Yeah.
So whatever the date is now, I don't know if I will have yet. Probably not, to be honest.
Why do you think that you have no nut? Why do you think that it is that you go about
Why
the
can't
day?
you crack that nut?
Yeah.
I think it's fun. So it is a control thing because it's something that I am like engaging with the person I play with.
Yes.
Where I like they say that I should not, whatever.
Yeah.
But I also just think edging is way more fun than actually getting off.
Yeah.
Just in general. So
Actually, I do.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah. So if like this person wasn't imposing this on me, I'd probably kind of do it anyway for like the majority of my life. Cause I think the lead up to stuff and anticipation and like slow burn getting there and then like, is like way more fun.
Yeah.
And then stopping it and not getting to, that's way more of a thrill to me than just like fucking getting off.
Yeah.
That's cheap. Anyone could do that.
Yeah. Well, actually, whenever someone is into edging, it always really makes me upset, and I laugh when people are like, "Okay, I can come now, right?" And I'm like, "No."
Yeah. What?
No.
Oh, because they think it's always going to end with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. I got no desire in that. It's boring. It's useless. What's the fucking point?
That's why when people, so I do say I'm a gooner, quote unquote. But
Goon
when
life,
people,
baby.
yeah, goon life, more like goon boy. When people say that though, I'm like, no, gooners come like at the end of the session and like,
Oh yeah, they do.
Papa don't.
I would love to get you a big goon cave.
That's
kind of
what I made in there, but
You did, but
no.
I want to get a couple anime up there, the anime pictures.
But that's not what I do though. I don't be
I think
looking
it'd
at
be funny,
stuff.
though.
That would be funny, but I would not utilize it.
I know, but
So-
it'd just be funny.
I don't do the classic 4 screens playing stuff that I'm staring at and whatever. I like just think about situations in my life.
Yeah.
And then
gotta what do you call it?
I don't know. It's like the cave next to Pound Town. What is it? It's not a goon cave though.
It's not a goon cave.
It's gotta be something else.
I don't know.
Denial Den.
Denial. Do you think that you will ever do it?
Be
again?
satisfied.
No. Do you think you'll ever,
Honestly, at this point, because it's been so long, I don't care. And the honest answer is like if he decides.
Yeah.
And people think that I'm being like, okay.
Are you numb to the world?
Yep. I am systematically brainwashed.
I love it.
So
You've been getting fed a little bit too much Wren Corp propaganda.
Yeah. Also, to be clear on this thing, this whole thing was like my idea.
Yeah.
Like to go into the like CNC thing or whatever. The having this like long-term denial thing was my idea. And last time I hung out with the person, like he was gonna be like, well, maybe you should now. And I was like, fucking what? Because it was like when I was doing stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, if we're doing that, then it's gonna be like a thing. And I want to like earn it through some crazy like pain, whatever stuff or something.
Yeah.
And also I'd probably still be like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you want to know, I guess a kink, we're talking about fetishes today, but I think this is probably
we're just getting into all the things. Yeah.
Dronification.
Oh, I fucks with that heavy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I've never really engaged with it myself outside of like maybe 1 or 2 latex shoots. But like that's a headspace that I think is like it's a hypno, whatever, brainwash. That's like my dumb dog thing.
Yeah.
Because when that's another reason I like pain also, because it gets to like when you climb up the pain wall or whatever, and then you get to the certain place where like I'll just stop reacting to stuff because I like go over the wall and I'm just so like fucked up with endorphins or whatever the hell else that I'm just like, bleh. And that's the goal for me.
Yeah.
And that is not a lot of people want to go there because the tops have to consent to this shit too.
Yeah.
Just so everyone's aware of that. And I don't do like service bottoming and I don't engage with service tops. I only play with people that are into the same shit.
Yeah.
And have the same goals.
Being selective is good.
Yeah. Anyway, I love that like brain dead, whatever stuff. That's a great time.
Let's finish off this episode about being selective because you just said you don't do things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
You're not gonna play the service top. You're not gonna be a service bottom. You're gonna link it up.
Yeah.
Right. Synergy between the two.
Yeah.
A lot of people just take what they can get.
Yeah.
Because of this and that. Do you think that is important to demand more for yourself?
Yes. Like in all walks of life, not just in kink and fetish play. Yeah, because if something doesn't do something for you, unless you do identify as a service top or a service bottom, and it does something for you to be doing that act of service, you know what I mean? Like if someone wants to get spanked, the bottom wants to get spanked. Spanking doesn't do anything for the top, but making the bottom happy does do something for the top. That's fine then.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm saying in the world, that's fine.
Yeah.
For me, I don't want that. Like I want the action to be gratifying to both of us in like at least a similar way.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do pain stuff with someone who's not a sadist, who doesn't enjoy inflicting pain and watching me be in pain.
Yeah.
I think that it like sacrifices a part of yourself and engaging with kink play and can open the door for you to be not taken advantage of. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but it can snowball fast into a place where it like sacrifices your self-worth.
You're making concessions to interact with somebody.
Yeah.
You're giving up things, and that's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Like you just said.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Like in a DS relationship I was in when I was younger, that snowballed into like actual like assault basically.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, this is just what I do. This is what I signed up for. I just have to do it.
Yeah, I think that's happened to
a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's very, 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 very common.
Yeah. So that's the lesson of the day at the end of the episode is that if you're new bottom, if you're a experienced bottom, don't be scared to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
Also, tops, I guess, have things that they can agree or disagree to.
It's kind of funny that one of my favorite jokes in life is a light gaslighting, a light manipulation. It's also what I do. Well, that's kind of how I like to do humor.
Yeah, you do it to me all the time.
I know.
Yeah.
But it's things that are obvious, people. It's not like I'm not.
No, you're not actually. I'm not wounded by it.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, stop.
But it's funny to me.
It does end up being. And it's funny to other people because they believe it.
Yeah.
Like seeing us interact, they believe what is happening.
I even do it on this podcast a lot of times.
All the time.
And it's also funny because it is some of my favorite stuff within the fetish world.
Oh, yes, that makes sense.
Within the kink world.
Yeah, you're just into gaslighting, but not in real life where it harms people.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's one of my favorite hypno girls is like a gaslighting one.
What's her name again?
Soft. But I said it wrong the last time I talked about her because I said like something. I don't know if it's Mr. Soft or
She's gonna reprimand you. Yes. Her webcam doesn't work. But
Yeah. Send more money and maybe it will.
Yeah, exactly. Well, people, stay safe.
Yeah.
And also, the most important thing about this podcast is outside of the Patreon, signing up for it. But the most important thing about it is just to stay fresh. That's right, baby.
Be fresh. It's a Subway slogan.
Wow. What a way to end it.